Good evening. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of Jackson County, I welcome you to the candidate forum for the office of Regional Superintendent of Schools for Region number 30. Region number 30 includes 5 counties. The counties are Alexander, Jackson, Perry, Pulaski, and Union. I'm Dorsey Prosser, and I'll be the moderator for this evening's event. This election, the League of Women Voters is focusing on local candidates and issues. It's our goal that this forum will provide you with a greater understanding of the responsibilities of the Regional Office of Education, which is also known as the ROE. And as well as we will also learn much more about the candidates who aspire to this office. Both candidates for Regional Superintendent of Schools are with us tonight. Annette Jaynes, Democrat, and Matthew Hickam, Republican. The League of Women Voters appreciates the candidates' willingness to participate and to inform the voters about their candidacy. So tonight's format is a question and answer format, and we'll alternate the order of who goes first. 1.5 minutes for each response are allowed. And at the conclusion of the question and answers, there will be a concluding remarks time where the candidates can speak about whatever they want, tell us more about themselves or another issue. So during the forum, your viewers' screens, I believe, will be in 4 parts. You'll get to see both candidates, and you'll get to see the timing component of our screen to let you know how much time is left. All right, I'm going to give you just a little bit of background information, and I'm going to cite a description of the Office of Superintendents of Schools as stated by their professional Illinois organization. So I will quote, "The Regional Superintendent of Schools is the Chief Administrative Officer of the Regional Office of Education, the ROE, and the only elected education professional office in Illinois. ROEs are essential support offices partnering with the Illinois State Board of Education to support local school districts," and just a little bit more. So as an intermediate agency between the Illinois State Board of Education and the local school districts, the Office of the Regional Superintendent performs regulatory functions as directed by the school code. So there's your quick background on this office. So tonight, the candidates will give us a better understanding of what the duties are as the only elected education professional in our 5 counties. All right, candidates, do you have any questions at this time? Okay, you can unmute yourself when you're ready. Our questions will start with Ms. Jaynes, and here's the first question. The Professional Association of Illinois Regional Superintendents of Schools identifies a wide variety of programs and regulations that your office would be involved with. Which areas do you have some knowledge and experience with? Ms. Jaynes, you go first.
Okay. Well, first of all, about 30 years ago, I worked for the Regional Office of Education. So I do have knowledge about several of the areas. And also, my last 29 years as an educator, I have used the services of the ROE. So for example, this Friday, I'll be attending the Institute put on by the ROE. And that is one of the services it provides, is it organizes the County Institute for all 5 counties. It deals a lot with licensure, which I have a lot of experience with since I have education licenses. And it also provides PD as far as admin academies, health, life, safety. They do the fire inspections and make sure that the building permits are issued and that the occupancy. They communicate with ISB, help with the mandates that come down from ISB, help with the trainings that are required to understand those mandates, GED testing, fingerprinting, One of the things that I became very familiar with during my time on the school board in Murfreesboro is the county facility sales tax. They help districts with that. They take the audit of attendance on the October 1st of every year and distribute the county facility sales tax to all the districts. So those are just some of the things that the ROE does.
Okay, Mr. Hickam, can you tell us about your knowledge and experience? Mr. Hickam.
Yes, thank you. Thanks again for the opportunity and hosting this event. In terms of experience with the Regional Office of Education, there's a lot of those services which I've had direct experience with. I'm a sitting superintendent in my 4th year in DuQuoin currently, and served as a building principal for 9 years prior to that. So a lot of direct experience. And I started my career as a substitute teacher in Murfreesboro, so certainly know that side of things, working your way through and having that experience as a substitute teacher, working with the ROE and the steps that you go through to be a substitute teacher, being a classroom teacher for 10 years, certainly had the experience of dealing with licensure and recertification, going through that process, which has changed significantly over the course of my 25-year career. At one time, teachers were all going through, Annette remembers this, we were all going through writing our own individual plans for professional development, which had to be approved by a committee, which was made up of people from our bargaining unit. And then that got okayed and kind of moved up the ladder. And we've moved now to a place where it's more individualized and the teacher is more responsible for inputting their own information through a database, which the state board of education and the ROE can access. And then on the administrator side, certainly compliance. As a principal and superintendent, know exactly what compliance visits consist of. It's something which happens on an annual basis to some degree. Now there's some leeway with the regional office being able to do some mini compliance visits where they don't do a full blown going through every single detail of compliance with everything. So it's kind of a rotation, which is certainly a benefit for the ROE and for local school districts because there are just more and more things in that category.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, the second question. So again, a lot of this is about enforcement. What kinds of rules are there? So this question says, describe the areas you'll be tasked with to enforce the regulations, whether they're from the Illinois School State Board of Education or the school code. I mean, what kind of rules are you tasked with to look at to make sure that the schools are in compliance? Mr. Hickam, you go first.
Okay, and let me, on a note here, I can't see the timer.
Okay. So
Annette, are you able to see me? Okay.
Oh.
Which is,
I wasn't sure how much time I had either. I was. So.
I apologize.
Sorry, y'all. Go look up in the corner of your screen where it says view and click on gallery view. And then you should be able to see it. Sorry about that.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, can you see it?
Yeah.
now we're good.
Okay, great.
Okay, everybody's in gallery view. Very good. Mr. Hickam,
Yes.
do you need me to repeat the question?
No.
Okay.
I'm good. Thank you for asking. So,
give you a little more time.
In terms of compliance, health, life, safety is one of the major components here for the ROE, which is, as it would sound, it's related to safety issues within the school. So this is something which occurs on an annual basis for each school building. So a very important task, and that is a key component of compliance. Other things that are going to be related more to the school code are going to be about curriculum. It's going to be about making sure that all teachers are appropriately licensed and up to date on their licensure. School code takes in not only your educational components, but takes in the issues of, like I said, licensure, but also paraprofessionals as well. And then homelessness is another aspect which the ROE is part of. Truancy, these are all things which are services, and the ROE serves as a liaison for those things. So they're helping oversee that districts are serving students who are designated as homeless. And another important service they provide. Looking at my time there, I'll wrap it up at that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, Ms. Jaynes?
Those same things, the health, life, safety issues, the compliance with the curriculum, current issues, making sure that districts are in compliance. LGBTQ plus is an issue right now, and those mandates and laws, that making sure that the districts have that knowledge and are also in compliance with those areas. They also do trainings of the staff, the secretaries, as far as how to keep student records and check to make sure that student records are kept appropriately, personnel records also. So there's a lot of areas that they help with. And then if there are any questions on those areas, how, the things that can be contained in student records, or they can also assist districts with that information too, and systems and examples of how to put certain things in place. The threat assessment team, that's big right now, and they also assist with those issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, you didn't take all your time. I'll see. Okay, she's reset it. Okay, this question talks about managing people. So according to the Regional Office of Education number 30, the office that's in place now, it says that there's currently 21 employees, and they're in 5 different locations. So can you describe your experience and perspective on supervising and managing personnel, managing people? What is your experience and perspective? Ms. Jaynes, you're first.
Okay, managing personnel, as far as I've been in different leadership roles in my district, in which we've had to organize committees and lead committees, and also being on the school board and helping to manage the committees, the board committees, and get things taken care of in that. Also, I've been in leadership roles within my teacher association. I was the president of Carbondale Education Association. And as far as being involved with the executive committee and organizing 136 members to make sure that we are in compliance with our contract. Also been in leadership roles within the region and the statewide with Illinois Education Association. So I've had experience managing and working as a team with people and accomplishing tasks.
Thank you. Mr. Hickam?
Yeah, a lot of experience supervising, managing people. 20, I don't know what that was, that number 26? You said for
21.
21, yeah. So
right now,
that's about the size of the faculty when I was the principal of Galatia Junior Senior High School. I served on a number of committees when I was a faculty member at Murfreesboro High School, and served as association president twice during collective bargaining years. And now as a superintendent, I've got about 175 employees in our district in DuQuoin that ultimately I'm managing and supervising right now. So certainly it's just part of the daily job of a school administrator. Experience as a building principal, where I'm responsible for collaborating with our different committees and teams, which is something I look forward to doing in this position, is being able to supervise and manage certainly the people within the office, but also collaborating with colleagues that are superintendents, administrators, and faculty members in the districts that make up the 5 counties that are in this region.
Thank you. All right, the 4th question. Please describe how you would direct ROE number 30, the office, in any areas that you see people would understand directly impact teachers and students. How would you manage, areas that the average person or students and teachers could see? Mr. Hickam?
Well, in terms of how I would direct, my mode of directing is I see myself as a servant leader. And I think the way the Illinois Association of Regional Superintendents of Schools describes this position and being one that supervises school districts, but also acts as an advisor and an assistant with school officials and teachers. So working alongside them, and particularly our small districts in our counties, they need that support. We continue to add more and more mandates, more requirements, more responsibilities for teachers, administrators. So I see this as a position which will serve right alongside with them, helping meet professional development needs, which is something which is going to directly impact teachers in the classroom. It's something which is currently being done now, of course. Providing alternative education opportunities, that's something which falls under the realm of helping students who deal with truancy. Also, the regional safe schools opportunities that are provided for students that are facing serious disciplinary consequences. That's another way to assist students and to give them alternative path to getting education and hopefully having a successful adult life. So I just look forward to collaborating and working alongside my colleagues that are in these positions in local school districts right now.
Thank you. Ms. Jaynes?
I look at it as more of a partnership with the communities and the school districts. As I've talked to people, I've talked to parents, school board members, superintendents, administrators around the 5 counties, and a lot of people are not aware of all the things that the ROE does. You know, some people, as I've talked to them, they weren't aware that it was an elected position even. And so I think that it really needs to be more of a community partnership so that we're partnering with different organizations to be able to assist one another and assist the districts. You know, I have a lot of experience with different organizations within the areas like the Survivor Empowerment Center and the Boys and Girls Club and SIU. And we have a lot of services within our communities that if we act as a partner, the Regional Office of Education can bring those services together and help the districts and the educators and the parents get all their needs. Also, the Regional Office does offer alternative education through the COPE and SOAR programs. So that's another partnership and another way that the Regional Office is of service to the communities that it serves. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, next question. Given your knowledge of how the current Regional Office of Education is operating, are there some ways that you foresee changing or improving the office operations? Ms. Jaynes.
Yes, there are a lot of students that need an alternative setting like the ones that are provided through COPE and SOAR. And I would like to expand those programs, which would require either an additional facility. That facility is currently housed it's in a portable building outside of the Tri-County building in Murfreesboro. And that would require either a larger facility or another additional mobile building. But I would like to look into those things and maybe even bringing the annex and the courthouse staff together a little bit more with having people spread out in different offices, even within Murfreesboro. Sometimes I think it's difficult for the offices to collaborate and work together as much. I'd also like to see as I talk to educators, you know, some superintendents that I've talked to have said that they really rely on the PD provided by the Regional Office of Education, and some of them have said they have their own PD and they don't need it. But as I've talked to teachers, they have a lot of ideas about the offerings and online activities that they'd like to see offered through the Regional Office of Education. So I'd like to make some changes there with those opportunities.
Thank you. Mr. Hickam.
Can you repeat the question for me?
Sure. Given your knowledge of how the current Regional Office of Education operates, in what ways are there ways that you foresee changing or improving the office?
Okay, thank you. And first, let me just say that Annette's idea there of expanding alternative education is a great idea. There certainly is a need there, and it's probably just going to continue to increase. In terms of, changing the way things are improving the way things are maybe being done right now, I would just say, again, my approach is going to be collaborative. It's going to be one where I'm going to listen to the concerns of our administrators that are in local districts now, of our teachers and paraprofessionals. So I think there's a lot of listening that's got to be done on the front end before I can say I can go in and I'm going to change this or that. That's been my experience in going into administrative positions earlier in my career. Is first, before you go in and make a bunch of promises of what you're going to do, you've got to get on the inside and see how it actually is. When I taught government, I always emphasized that when people get critical of someone like the President of the United States, when they make campaign promises and they don't fulfill them, I think the answer to that usually is they get into the position, they find out it's not quite as easy to make the changes they thought they could make once they were in the office and they had all the variables. So I will certainly have the approach of being a collaborator and a listener, but to really get into the nuts and bolts of what might actually change, where the rubber meets the road, I'm going to find out once I have the opportunity to be in the position.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this is one more question before your concluding remarks. As we have emphasized, and as you well know, this is an elected office. You run as a Republican and a Democrat. So please help the audience understand, is there a partisan difference between Republican and Democratic approaches to the office of Regional Superintendent of Schools? It's a yes and no question, but I would like to ask you to please explain your answer. And we will begin with Mr. Hickam.
Since you're cornering me into a yes or no, I'll have to say yes. But obviously get the chance to explain. And I think, whether there's a difference, whether it's based on partisanship, that's debatable. It's going to be certainly based on personality. Both of us are educators now. We work in school districts that certainly have people on all sides of the political spectrum. In my experience in the school setting, I'm not talking a lot of politics in the school setting. So it's all about doing what's best for kids. And Republicans and Democrats can agree on an awful lot when you're talking about serving kids. So yeah, there may be some differences in terms of how much local control there should be versus state, federal. But I think when it comes down to what's going on in a local school district, it's more about just doing what's best for kids, and the party doesn't matter.
Okay. Again, I'm sorry that the timing mechanism didn't get started, but I appreciate your response.
I'm so sorry. The timer's having a little bit of an issue. I'm working on it. Just a moment.
So we have technical difficulties, but you all have responded very clearly and concisely. So I know Ms. Jaynes will do so for this question as well. Ms. Jaynes, it's your turn.
You would like to think that there wouldn't be a difference whether the office is run by a Democrat or Republican, but I think that, there could be some differences depending on who's running the office. As we look around at what's happened to other states, Illinois has been very fortunate. We don't have some of the issues that you see happening in other states, but that doesn't mean that they couldn't come here. Elections have consequences. So of course, we're both educators, and of course, during our daily tasks, we do not deal with partisan politics in the classroom. But at the same time, I think the manner in which you approach things and the way you handle things could absolutely, definitely be impacted by politics in this office, and depending on whether you're a Democrat or Republican.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, on to the concluding remarks. Here, the candidates have the opportunity to speak about what they want to, tell us more about their qualifications, issues important to them, or to respond to something said by their opponent tonight. And so Ms. Jaynes, you get the first opportunity.
Okay, I'll just use the opportunity to tell just everyone about myself. For those of you that I haven't met yet, I came to Southern Illinois 34 years ago as a first-generation college student at Southern Illinois University. And after that, I fell in love with the area, like that just happens to almost all of us, right? We fall in love with Southern Illinois and we make it our home. After I attended Southern Illinois University and got my degree in elementary education, I did go to work for the Regional Office of Education. I was the homeless coordinator. At that time, it was at the Women's Center, which is now the Survivor Empowerment Center. Then I left to go to Carbondale Elementary, which I have been since that time, and just started my 29th year as an educator. I've taught middle school, elementary school. I've been extremely involved in my community, and I've been a school board member in Murfreesboro until April of 2021. During my time, I've used my skills and abilities and my leadership to improve the safety and learning conditions for students, and as well as the working conditions and environment for educators. I'm married. My husband is retired from SIU, and I have 2 daughters, proud to have a Redbird and a Saluki. And I have been in the educational trenches, and I know everybody can relate to what that's been like for educators that have actually been in the real trenches for the last couple of years during COVID. And I know that with my knowledge and experience, I can make the Regional Office of Education and Community Partnership with everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Hickam.
Yes, thank you. I mentioned a few things about my experience and kind of resume and some answers, but I'll point out some things of emphasis. This is year 25 for me in public education. I'm a Murfreesboro native. I've been in Southern Illinois my whole life. I had the good fortune of getting my first position at Murfreesboro High School, my alma mater, as a paraprofessional. Owe a lot of thanks there to Karen Lavender, who was leading our academic enhancement special education program there, and then actually went from being a paraprofessional to a special education teacher, and then eventually worked my way into what I went to school to do, which was to be a social studies teacher at the high school level. When I graduated from SIU, there were a whole bunch of me's out there looking for jobs, so I called myself a social studies refugee. It took a while to make my way into position, but eventually I did. And after 10 years in the classroom as a teacher, dipped my toe into administration at Murfreesboro as assistant principal, and then left to go to Galatia to be a principal of the junior senior high school there. 2 good years, a lot of good folks over there in Saline County, and then came back closer to home to Perry County to be high school principal at DuPoint. Did that for 7 years, and now I've become the superintendent there. So kind of worked my way up the ladder. My wife is also a teacher. She teaches physical education in the Murfreesboro School District. So we are and have been completely dedicated to serving our students, and looking forward to having the opportunity to serve more students, as well as teachers, paraprofessionals, and administrators in the 5-county area, and would appreciate consideration for this position in the November 8th election. I am the Republican candidate for Regional Superintendent of Schools, Matthew Hickam.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure whether our technical difficulties have gone to this, but both candidates have provided places to get extra information. Hopefully they're in the chat group about their Facebook or web pages where you can access more. And I want to say that the League of Women Voters is very appreciative of you being accessible to the public. And we appreciate you serving the public. I want to thank you. But before everybody leaves, I do have a few League of Women Voters announcements about upcoming forums. So if you could take a minute to wait on that. Next Wednesday, September 21st, 6:30 p.m., same place. We will be hosting a forum, a judicial forum for the resident judge of Jackson County, It's part of the First Judicial Circuit. So tune in next Wednesday, 6:30, and register before that. Now, if you are a resident of the city of Carbondale, there will be a referendum on the November ballot about home rule. This is a very important issue. The league will be hosting a panel discussion, a virtual panel discussion through the library about the home rule. That's October 5th at noon. So I hope you'll consider registering and coming to that. I want to bring one more issue to the attention of voters. The league's not doing anything about this at this point, but there will be a proposed amendment to the Illinois Constitution on the November 8th ballot. If you got the Carbondale Murfreesboro Times, they had the language and everything about it that you can go to Illinois Secretary of State website. They'll have a brochure there, the language, the pros and cons. And typically in the mail, you get a copy of that language. So I hope you'll be in tune with those issues for voting. So on behalf of the League of Women Voters, I thank the candidates. I thank the audience for being willing to take this time to be a more informed voter. And I do thank the Carbondale Public Library, especially Jennifer Robertson, for making this all possible. So be sure to either take advantage of early voting or vote on November 8th